Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay and welcome to another sculpting video. If you're new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. Today we're in the hidden world and you get to meet my next character, the Fisherman. If you're not familiar with the hidden world, it is an ongoing universe of original characters that I've created. I design and sculpt them all from start to finish and then write an entire backstory about each one. You can see all the characters I've released so far in the Hidden World playlist on my channel. And before we get started, Series 3 Hidden World trading cards are available right now at aceofclay.com. The entire series has 9 cards and 2 of them are chases. So again, grab these before they're gone at aceofclay.com. I've also released a collector's guide so that you can check off all the characters you've acquired so far from series 1, 2, and 3. So grab your cards at aceofclay.com before they're gone forever. And now without further ado, let's meet the Fisherman. Alright, let's get started. I've got my wooden plaque here with pre-drilled holes, and I'm actually selling these in 4 packs on my website, aceofclay.com, with or without pre-drilled holes, so check that out if you need some wooden bases. They are super high quality and way better than the cheap craft store ones. Alright, now let's make the Fisherman's armature. I'm using 10 gauge aluminum wire that I also sell on my website, and I'm shaping out the legs, torso, and arms, and attaching the arms with some 16 gauge wire, like so. Once I've got his basic structure figured out, let's go ahead and bulk out his torso with some aluminum foil and then cover that in some ultralight. In the darkest recesses of the hidden world lies a fog-covered lake. Its waters murky and still. The air around it is heavy with the stench of decay, and the only sounds are the soft lapping of water against the shore and the distant eerie call of unseen creatures. This forsaken lake is patrolled by a figure known as the Fisherman. Okay, so the ultralight has been baked and now I'm covering everything in my final layer of clay and shaping out the legs. And now to make it look like he's wearing pants, we're going to add a bunch of folds and wrinkles with some snakes of clay. Now the Fisherman's going to be wearing fisherman overalls, also known as bibs, and I'm going to separate the top section from the bottom with a nice belt, and then we'll have some fabric overlaying this and make it look like the top is really baggy on him. And of course he needs a belt buckle with a skull, gotta have the mark of the entity. Before he was transformed into a mutant, the Fisherman was a regular man named Cyrus. He was a humble fisherman in a quaint village, known for his exceptional skills and unwavering dedication to his craft. He lived a solitary life, spending his days on the lake and his nights repairing nets and preparing for the next day's haul. However, his peaceful existence was shattered when a series of mysterious disappearances began to plague the village. Now as you can see, I'm using my super poker to add some little wrinkles and stitches here and there, and now I'm going to take a thin snake of clay to create the outline for the top part of his overalls, or his bib. And then using my spoon tool, I'm going to blend that bottom edge in with the rest of him. And of course, we need some more folds and wrinkles. Now let's add a big pocket to the front. Desperate to uncover the truth, Cyrus ventured out into the lake one fateful night, determined to solve the mystery. As he cast his net into the water, he felt a strange otherworldly pull. Ignoring his instincts to flee, Cyrus gave in to his curiosity and allowed himself to be drawn into the depths of the lake. There, beneath the surface, he encountered the entity, the all-powerful ruler of the hidden world. Now let's finish off his bib with some buttons. And of course, what would a fisherman be without some nice rubber boots? I'm adding some clay about halfway up his shin to create the illusion of the fabric of his pants overflowing onto his boots. Now I'm rolling the textured part of my sculpting tool on the surface of his bib to create a nice fabric texture. And before I pre-bake his body, at this point I'm brushing on some Bake and Bond mixed with clay softener and dabbing it onto the surface to create an additional texture. Alright, let's get this guy in the oven. And while he's baking, let's work on his head. I want to bulk out the core with some aluminum foil and then put some clay on top of that. I want to give him a really long face. Once the surface is all smooth, let's go in with a ball stylus and press out the eye sockets and then shape out his mouth. To create a large frown, I'm using my spoon tool to press in the area inside his mouth, and then I will be overlaying some teeth on this. Recognizing the darkness within Cyrus's heart, the entity offered him a pact, power and dominion over the lake, in exchange for his soul. Blinded by his desire for strength and answers, Cyrus accepted. In an instant, he was transformed into the Fisherman, a monstrous guardian of the lake, forever bound to its cursed waters. To create the teeth, as you can see, I'm just starting with a little ball of clay and then shaping them into pointy triangles. To push his mouth further into his face, I'm using a thin snake of clay to create a very small upper and lower lip. Now let's give him some cheekbones. The fisherman's powers are as terrifying as his appearance. He possesses superhuman strength and agility, allowing him to move swiftly and silently through the fog-covered lake. He can slice through flesh and bone with ease, and his nets and lines can ensnare even the most elusive of prey. For his nose, we're going with a smaller nose to contrast the large size of his face. After adding some deep nasolabial folds, let's pop in his eyeballs. Thank you BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. So I've got a lot planned for my business this year, and one could say that I even bit off more than I can chew, but while I'm doing all of that and wearing all of these different hats, I don't want to forget about my mental health. Having to deal with all these different things all the time can really take a toll, and that's where BetterHelp can help. BetterHelp makes starting therapy so much easier and less intimidating for a lot of people. BetterHelp lets you have therapy sessions as a phone call, video chat, or even messaging. Whatever version of therapy is most comfortable for you. BetterHelp can match you with over 30,000 therapists in their network, based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you a wider range of expertise than may be available in your area. To get started, you just fill out a questionnaire to answer some questions about what you're going through. Then, BetterHelp can match you with a therapist to help you. And you'll get your therapist match in most cases within 48 hours. From there, you can schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If for whatever reason your therapist isn't the perfect fit, you can always switch therapists with the click of a button in your settings for no additional charge. This is a favorite feature for a lot of people because you don't have to break up with your therapist and start the whole process over again. So if you're like me and you want to continue this year taking better care of your mental health, head on over to betterhelp.com/aceofclay. That's better, H-E-L-P, and join over 4 million people who have used BetterHelp to start living a happier, healthier life. Just click the link below in the description box, or again, visit betterhelp.com/aceofclay. Doing so helps support this channel and gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. Now back to our sculpture. Alright, now let's go ahead and give him some angry forehead lines. But his most fearsome ability is his control over the lake itself. He can summon the waters to rise and engulf his victims, dragging them to their watery graves. He can also command the creatures of the lake, grotesque, mutated fish and amphibians that obey his every whim. These minions aid him in his grim task of fishing bodies and body parts from the lake, along with his trusty fishing rod, which he uses to create macabre trophies and to satisfy his hunger for flesh. And I really thought this guy needed a nice big bushy beard, so let's go ahead and texture it with our super poker. Now before I go any further, I want to make his fishing rod. So we're going to go ahead and add some bacon bond to this piece of 16 gauge wire, and I'm going to roll on this snake of clay to get that wire embedded inside. Now I'm creating the little loops or guides that are going to hold the fishing line to the rod. So I'm just using some wire and then wrapping them around my rod here, embedding them in the clay. The fisherman is feared not only for his monstrous appearance and powers, but also for his relentless pursuit of prey. He prowls the shores of the lake, fishing for bodies and body parts to add to his collection. Those who venture too close to the water are often caught in his nets, their screams swallowed by the fog as they are dragged into the depths. Now I'm using some flexible clay on the arms so that I can reposition them after he's baked, just to, if I want to do a little bit of an adjustment, I don't have to worry about the clay breaking. So let's go ahead and get those sleeves shaped out, his wrists, and then figure out where the rod's going to go. Now to create the brim of his future hat, I'm using a rolled out sheet of flexible clay and cutting out a circle with my little cookie cutter there, and then we're going to shape this out and add the crown of the hat. His lair, hidden within a cave beneath the lake, is a nightmarish shrine to his dark deeds. The walls are adorned with the remains of his victims, and the floor is littered with bones and discarded flesh. The fisherman takes great pleasure in his work, savoring the fear and suffering of those he ensnares. Now I'm just going to attach his hat with a little bit of bacon bond, get that in place. And then I'm going to add a little strap around his neck to hold his hat to his head. After getting the fishing line in place, we're going to go ahead and secure the rod and sculpt his hands around it. His ultimate goal is to expand his dominion, spreading the influence of the lake and the entity further into the hidden world. He seeks to drown the land in darkness and despair, turning it into a vast, watery graveyard where he reigns supreme. Now, to create a visual to go with this guy about, him pulling body parts and bodies out of the lake, let's sculpt a quick human heart. And then I'm going to put a nice big hook through it. Now let's get all the unbaked parts in the oven so that we can paint. I'm just going to start with my airbrush and lay down all of my base colors. We're going to go with a nice grayish brown color palette. The Fisherman is a symbol of the horrors that lurk within the hidden world. His legend serves as a grim reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and that the pursuit of power can lead to unimaginable consequences. Here I'm just adding some shadows with a darker shade of my nice greenish grayish brown color there. And I was surprised I was able to do a lot of this guy's paint job solely with my airbrush. Now let's go ahead and add some highlights here and there. Survivors speak in hushed tones of a way to defeat him, destroying the cursed nets and lines that bind him to the lake. But to do so requires venturing into the heart of his domain, a task fraught with peril and nearly certain death. Now I'm just airbrushing on the base colors for his face, that medium gray color that we're starting with, and then a couple shadows. And then unfortunately, I forgot to hit record when I was painting all the details, so that footage does not exist. I'm very sorry. I'm just airbrushing his beard here, and this is what he looks like done. Again, I'm sorry about not hitting record, but we're just gonna pop his head on, and then we can start painting the rest of him. Until then, the fisherman continues his grim patrol, a monstrous sentinel of the lake, forever haunting the waters and the nightmares of those who dare to cross his path. And that is the story of the Fisherman. And to get the heart nice and slimy and wet looking, I'm brushing on some Americana Triple Thick glossy varnish. Now let's tie that to our fishing line, like so. And then spatter and paint some blood all over the place. This is the first mutant that has blood on him, like someone else's blood. Isn't that surprising? All right, now say it with me. And he's done! The Fisherman is complete. Let me know what you think of him in the comments. I don't think sculpting mutants will ever get old to me. That is both a good and bad thing. I realize that, but I just love doing it so much. I love how creative I can be. I love that these characters are just completely out of my head and I'm not copying something that already exists. And I just love the entire process, and I love even more the fact that you guys like them too. So let me know what you think of the Fisherman, the latest mutant, in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.